or sometimes just going for a kill.
And I was keeping an eye on the chat there. These players were so ready to go right at the gate. I didn't want to hold them up at all. They are in the zone.
That's fine with me.
Especially after that that last game where it's so close. I mean, viOLet, he knows basically where the game ended up being lost, but he also knows that those same battles could have easily favored him. You know, if it played out just a little bit differently. So viOLet, I feel like that's one of those losses where you don't just feel like, oh, I got completely crushed. I didn't stand a chance. There's no way here that I can win. But he needs to win here because he is facing elimination.
Yeah, I mean, already with Stefano eliminating Parting from the competition. He said it was going to be easy, and apparently he was not lying, Husky, but viOLet looking for a 2-0 here is not going to get his wish, and now has that tough challenge of winning 2 games in a row here versus a very, very formidable opponent, Squirtle. And you know what? Another thing, you know, I really feel like viOLet can probably just look at that game and recognize, you know, this is where I could have, you know, I could have done something a little bit different, could have engaged this a little bit different.
But also the scouting of Squirtle denying that multi-prong drop.
Yeah.
Like, that shows you the level that viOLet is playing at, where he's like, I'm going to attack you in 3 different locations. And Squirtle being able to actually hold that off his Protoss is so difficult. But we have got to introduce our players here. I know it's a little bit late, but never too late to introduce our players. Spawning down in the bottom left side, very well could be his last game. Showed us such an epic game versus Squirtle in game number 1. Buy a beer and give a cheer for viOLet, if you're at a Barcraft.
If you're at a Barcraft. And if not, you can just go grab one from the fridge.
Yeah, which you already bought it, man. Just write viOLet's name on it.
Sure. You're like, this is the cheapest beer I ever bought, man. Hey, why didn't you tip? Up here in the Northeast, as the Blue Protoss 1 game away from moving on, it is StarTails Squirtle.
Oh man, and they were telling me, the producers yesterday, for some reason Squirtle was unable to get his usual account that he uses at tournaments. So there was a little bit of a panic mode where he was getting ready to practice and he didn't have an account.
Yeah.
And I was totally going to give him my account. It was called Oregon, and they were like, maybe we'll just buy one. Maybe it's going to be like spawning in the top right side. Oregon. It is my favorite state in the world. It's also being played on my account. It is Oregon. I would like never want to use the account again because it's just been graced by the presence of Squirtle.
It's like the match history just has his results, and that's it. I like that.
Yeah.
So we did have the pylon block go down there, but you can see no natural hatch rate, but it did go down at the 3rd, and that's typically okay. However, this is kind of interesting because the one thing that Protoss can do on Daybreak is they can push out some early units and potentially go over and harass that 3rd. However, the gateway just going down now for Squirtle, so we're not going to see that anytime soon. Likely we're just going to see this next hatch rate go down. And there the drone is getting in position to drop just that. And yeah, I want to really quickly go back, Husky. You know, I did like the idea of the drop play, but I got to tell you what, I think that that would have been a better idea on a map like this, where you can hug the outside a little bit better. The fact that 8 roaches were lost before they even got to that point, and then the warp in killed another overlord. Then I mean, there was just, it was Roach Massacre.
Yeah, and you know, viOLet's got to know, looking at that, exactly what he did wrong. And you mentioned on that map where the 3rd base is similarly placed on this map as it is on the last one, but there's a much larger gap right there, and that's exactly what DJ Wheat is talking about. Now, I gotta hand it to viOLet. I love how he's like, okay, look, that last game, you were able to hold off my crazy aggression, my multi-prong attacks.
Right.
You kept up with me toe to toe as far as macro is concerned in that long game. Let's go ahead and have a rematch. Let's do something very similar. So again, he's going for those 3 bases. He's not doing any sort of 2-base all-in. It's actually sort of impossible at this point, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to ask DJ Wheat, a lot of Zerg players tell me they die really early in the mid game. So how is it viOLet is able to get away with just making 4 lings this early?
You know what? It just goes to show how incredible it is. And he's going to run those 4 lings inside the main. 2 of them do go down, and you know, it's not going to do a whole lot of damage, right? The pros can clean this up quite easily, but just having those guys inside your base can be annoying. And it looks like viOLet's just going to go ahead and disrupt the gas a little bit, which I like that, but very quickly, 3 harvesters going right back on top of that, so no disruption there at all. And he did see nothing crazy, no mass gateways quite yet, and here we do have the gateways going down. We're going to count them here as we see 1, 2, a 3rd will drop, and not quite ready, so he's going to sit on 4. He has that +1 going right now, and we should be seeing that Roach Warren fairly soon here for viOLet, as he is now just peaked at 50 supply. but it has not gone down quite yet. Almost oversaturation here at the third. You could definitely use some of those drones down at the natural, but there it is. Roachhorn and the Evo Chamber are now down, and he may be able to poise up for an attack there before that third even gets up for Squirtle.
Yeah, and in this game he did go for droning a little bit more than getting out the Roachhorn, so he just kind of switched those around, where he decided, I'm going to get a couple more drones here, try and spice up my game just a tiny bit. And I was mentioning those 4 original Zerglings. We do see more gateway, a lot of gateways being added on here now.
Yeah, you know what? He chrono boosted out every stage of his Warp Gate, and Warp Gate is already done. I don't think, well, the first Roaches are out, +1 melee's on the way. We do have this proxy pylon on the north side of the map, just above the third of viOLet. And you know, I remember I had mentioned about that spine crow in the last game. This is another one of those situations where just having one spine here could help very much so with the pressure. Are these Lings going to find that proxy pylon? So far, no dice.
They are looking around, trying to see exactly what's going on. They're looking up here. There's like, okay, there's no hidden third right here. Usually a Protoss is going to be taking a third right there. He's looking for the pylons. He does see a couple sentries in his Zealot. Now, this isn't going to cue him in to exactly what build Squirtle is doing just yet, unless he runs and spots that pylon. He is going to see the big warp in that we just saw over here on the left side. Very surprised to see Squirtle go for such an aggressive build here, getting up to 7 gateways. He should have the +1 attack already done. Yes, he does. That allows those Zealots to kill the Lings in 2 hits. This is a very good build to practice and use on ladder, but a lot of times in tournaments, it can be tough to pull off.
Oh, this is going to be such an intense battle. There, the force fields go down, but the Lings get a pretty good surround. Sentries starting to fall. We're going to have some Lings coming in through the back as well, and those sentries are going to be very, very, very low on health. The force field's blocking those Zealots now, and the Lings starting to clean this up, but I think this is going to be thwarted here, and a lot of units are going to go down here for Startail Squirtle.
Now, viOLet needs to make sure not to overcommit here,
yes,
as more units are reinforcing, and the force field's exactly right there. Got to trap some of them. I believe that 2 of these Roaches are going to fall. viOLet, you got to pick your engagements. You got to push them back and then fall back. You got to remember, viOLet's strength right now is the fact that he has insane macro. He has 3 bases fully saturated, ready to go. He doesn't need to try and end the game versus his opponent, who is using 7 warp gates right now. Although he may find these units completely out of position here, he does intercept them. One of the Stalkers will for sure go down. Although, no, he actually microed it there and got it away. And viOLet, he's being aggressive here. I don't know if his macro has actually fully kicked in to allow this, though.
If he can get rid of a lot of these sentries, I think he'll actually be in pretty good shape. He's now getting a few more overlords to see his supply blocked temporarily. A ton of Lings coming in, but the force fields are not enough, going down yet again, and the Roach is continuing this aggression. And although he did stop it from his third, I think he's actually done an enormous amount of damage to Squirtle here.
I am so impressed, DJ Weed. I thought that pushing in may have been a big mistake, but I got to hand it to him. He's been managing to make it work so far. He says, no, my macro has kicked in, Husky. You shut your mouth, and I will back out right now and wait for more reinforcements. And I'm kind of curious to see if viOLet decides to go for an early 4th here, or what exactly he decides to do, because he can either expand, tech, or make a lot of units to try and end it right now, or he could play the deny game and start denying that 3rd base.
Yeah, one thing that actually could be key here is that viOLet has not started his Roach speed. I'm not sure if he just hasn't realized that he didn't get it going, but his lair's been done for quite a while. There's Burrow, +2's on the way, but still no Roach speed. And you and I both know that Roaches are pretty good, but they're better when they're a little bit faster. And we saw that just in that last engagement where he had to chase. And I think it's kind of unfortunate because he could have been able to go over there and deny this 3rd for Squirtle. And although he stopped that early aggression, you know, now it's going to give Squirtle an opportunity to breathe, despite the fact that viOLet is going up to a 4th base.
This 4th base is going to be huge because viOLet, I mean, he's going to be able to pressure this 3rd base in the next couple of minutes if he decides to. And Squirtle's going to know that. He's going to know, okay, I don't have the largest army right now. I've only got gateway units, a singular Immortal here. And the army supply, as you can see, 52 to the 35. Now, it's always misleading in PvZ because Roaches are so cheap, again, on the cost, but the supply can be a little bit misleading. Squirtle should be able to hold off this amount of Roaches, but I mean, viOLet, he can do a big swell of units and move in at any time. Squirtle has got to be careful.
Where is Roach speed, Husky?
Yeah.
Where is it? It's one of these situations where viOLet had such a great start. He stopped the aggression, but could it be possible? There it finally gets started, and I've got to believe that that was a big mistake. He's got a ton of units. He would have been definitely in an attack situation, but right now he's going to have to wait a little bit longer. He's got the Infestor Pit going down as well, and another hatchery here for macroing it up. And the creep is going to help him out a little bit because obviously he's going to be able to get some movement advantage on there. But gosh, these slow Roaches now making its way to the front. If he does attack and it doesn't work, you don't really have a way to retreat. You're going to die.
You cannot retreat. Even the Immortals are going to be catching up to you as you retreat there. Now, I do want to point out that while you were talking there, DJ Wade, he actually threw down a total of 3 hatcheries we're building at a time. So, again, his macro, that seems to be what he wants to do in this game, and the last game as well. I don't know his total hatchery count here, but he is up to quite a few now, and that means he will be able to reinforce this as quickly as he possibly can. Now, he does decide to attack here, narrowly avoids those force fields. That is like a heart-wrenching moment for Zerg right there, watching out for those. And it does look like the Roach speed is, I mean, it's still going to be, you know, very crucial here in these upcoming battles. He does decide to go for the Destructible Rocks here. This gives him more surface area to engage up those ramps because Protoss players love chokes. Oh yeah, and that Roach speed is going to finish up here, but the army is kind of spread out. He does not commit. He's actually going to go for the 3rd as well. He might want to move back from there and then attack through the front. That's exactly what he's going to do. He moves forward, trying to get that Immortal first, and then he'll go ahead and get rid of those sentries, and he does look like he has penetrated this front. I do love these multi-prong attacks here. This is something we've seen throughout not only this entire tournament, but also games in general, is the Zerg players attacking 2 locations at once, forcing the Protoss to split their army because the army is weakest when it is split. When Zerg start doing this, though, this is exactly how you play. And DJ Wade, I gotta say, this makes me so happy because this brings me back to the Brood War days where you would see multi-prong attacks with the mid-tier units from Zerg constantly. That's what we're seeing here. We do see the Zerglings on hold position here. The Probes are forced away. And at this point, can Squirtle actually hang on? Well, I don't know. I mean, we've got a ton more Zerglings coming in. The Greater Spire is about to finish. 9 Infestors are going to be on the way. And although it may not seem like a ton of damage was actually done there, you know, he kept the army split up. He got quite a few units. He almost got that Cybernetics core, and he did throw off his opponent just a little bit. Now this Observer is here. He's got a few roaches burrowed. He needs to get those guys up and out of there doing some damage or something. There's a lot of units down in the bottom, but what's he going to do with that huge swell of Zerglings that is out on the map as well? Yeah, Zerg used to be very cost-effective versus Stalkers. If you can get a good surround, the Stalkers run out of areas to blink. And if you get around the sentries, the force fields aren't that great. Although I do got a hand to Squirtle here. He has kept some of his initial sentries alive. It kind of reminds me of Hellions in TBZ, where you want to keep those initial Hellions alive as long as possible. They're more crucial than, say, like an initial Zealot or an initial couple of Zerglings, in that you can use them throughout the entire duration of the game. We do see Bot once again going to be counterattacking here. We've talked about this in the past, how he loves to do this, but there are 3 cannons here. There are, but he's sending in quite a few units. There's a cancellation on the first cannon. He's going to send those Lings inside, see if he can do some probe damage, but no, it looks like he's just going to go and be, well, he's going to be ejected there from that 3rd, and the 4th is going up. It was seen by that Roach. A few final kills here on the Stalkers, but he will go ahead and burrow. Unfortunately, that will not last long. Wow. I think he kind of forgot those units, left them for dead, and dead they are. And I got to hand it to Squirtle. He seems to always have an Observer right where he needs to. We do see a double sentry drop in the main at the 18-minute mark, but unfortunately for that, the Zerglings do get inside. You know what? I just want to say that is totally badass of Squirtle to try and pull this late in a game, almost 20 minutes. You usually see a build that revolves around doing this at a very specific time, but Squirtle's like, no, I know it's a good strategy. I'm going to force field the ramp, warp in units, take out your main. It didn't work out, but man, I got to give it to him for trying. Oh, and the middle rocks are about ready to go down. The Broodlords are going to be on their way. There's not a whole lot of units to defend this base, and he actually wants to keep that up. Another Warp Prism heading to the northeast this time. It has 2 High Templar in there, and he's going to storm drop. Well, he realizes there's not a ton of drones there. No, and he also realized he doesn't have Psystorm research, and he just now started it. Okay, I was giving him mad props for the drops, and now, if you want more props, Squirtle, you're going to have to research Psystorm for your side drop. And that kind of sucks for him, but he only ended up losing 1 High Templar there, and he doesn't need that Psystorm immediately, but at the speed that this is getting researched, another Mothership, getting that quite early this game as well. And he has been chrono boosting out Psystorm. You can see it's almost halfway done already. And so I think he'll be okay in these engagements, but obviously that drop was held off quite easily. Yeah, I think he's got to be careful though. Having taken down those rocks was somewhat of a bold move. The creep can now spread, and these Broodlords are out in the middle. This is exactly where viOLet wants to go and why a lot of Zergs really like Daybreak. He can begin to push forward. It's going to be very tough to actually hold on, and this Mothership not quite ready with the Vortex yet, but it is getting awfully close. He doesn't have any Archons, so this could be quite an epic battle. Now, Storm is completed up. We do see 8 cannons on the way. I do believe it is down at the bottom right side. We do have a War Prism drop inside the main again. 4 Zealots inside. He could go for the tech structures, but look at all these spine crawlers. Why would viOLet do this? I have no idea, but it's going to work perfectly here to hold off this attack. And we do see a huge push out now. Storm's got to be going down, but he needs to save the energy for feedback on those infestors. Here we go, the Broodlords now on the field, moving forward here. There's 13 of them on the field, and we also see Infested Terrans throwing out right now, and the Mothership, though, is done with enough energy for a Vortex.
Oh, and the feedbacks do begin to go off there. Some storms go down on top of the Broodlords. They continue to drop down, but a lot of these units have been killed. The War Prism still inside the main, but it doesn't look like it's doing much, and I think that he will lose this base here at the 5th, as it's just getting pounded on by these Broodlings. No Queens here really to transfuse, but I suppose he'll be adding those to his army here soon. And look at this, still the aggression inside the main. He did get one of these Evo chambers. +3 is about ready to finish, but he could have killed that off as well. It looks like, well, viOLet may have to pull back and actually take care of this. I cannot believe this Evo chamber has stayed alive.
I cannot believe how epic these games are. Game number 2, also extremely epic here. Now we do see a Storm drop. This time he has the spell research, and here we go. 1 Storm, 2 Storm, and the feedback on the Queen. One-shotting her. Takes out almost every single drone. Is that enough, though, to get back in the game? Because he's currently about a 50 supply deficit, although he is warping in a massive amount of units. More High Templar are on the way. I must say that this game is still anyone's game at this point, because the expansion down at the bottom right side still up and running.
Yeah.
And the expansion in the center is not the most important one on the map. There's only a couple mineral patches there. The geyser here is very useful, but other than that, I think that losing that is okay. He just needs to make sure to focus in the upcoming battles. Yeah, the Mothership now has 2 Vortexes as well. It looks like the Warp Prism in the main has to back off. Some spores have been thrown down here. Some roaches being added to the mix here, in addition with the Corruptors and the Broodlords that we've got. Of course, the Infestor count looking pretty good as well. But I feel like there is definitely going to be a moment of opportunity here where he has got to strike, and he has got to do a significant amount of damage. A double Vortex possibility here very, very soon is a scary thing with this army composition. Oh my god, all 7 of these cannons are powered by 1 pylon. He cannot afford to lose that pylon. The cannons now are just finishing in time. This is going to be his strong positioning here as long as this pylon remains standing. But I also want to mention right now, from the side, it's coming from behind, and where's the Vortex? But the Corruptors look like it's going to be able to get it down. Oh, he needs to blink forward with these Stalkers right now to save the Mothership. It's dangerously low on HP, but he's not killing the Corruptors. The Mothership is going to get taken out. Both Vortexes have landed, though. You can see the units actually swirling around inside. But does he have the Archons in there that he needs? Keep an eye on the supplies. Yes, he does have some Archons in there. This is usually where the Zerg supply plummets, and he's able to blink forward, taking out the Broodlords. The supplies was way ahead for Zerg, but now it's going to be whittled down here. The Archon raking in the kills. 18 kills on that Archon. Only 1 on the additional Archon here. But this is exactly the momentum he needed to get back in this game. I do want to mention, though, that viOLet does have to actually make a couple Overlords here to go to that 200 supply, and that is important because he wants to be using all of his larvae on Overlords. He's only got 5 larvae remaining after that battle. Yeah, so we have basically for the Protoss, we have 7 Zealots and Immortal, 2 Archons, 16 Stalkers, and 4 High Templar. Over on the other side, we have 4 Morphing Broodlords, 2 Corruptors out, 1 Infestor, and 46 Roaches. And oh, look it up here, we got another drop here in the northwest base, as it looks like Zealots are going to clean up a ton of units. And I'll tell you what, the harassment alone looks like it might be enough to help him here. All of these Roaches swelling in, and I feel like with this many Roaches, he has got to go do some significant damage here. I mean, there's not a whole lot here right now for Squirtle. He might be able to just power his way through, but the Warp Prism harassment has been insane. Really, the harassment for both these players has been absolutely top-notch. Rarely will you see, these two styles clashing together, of both of them trying to harass each other non-stop. I gotta hand to Squirtle, he's not being passive with these units. He's using these drops beautifully. He's managed to take out 2 expansions at this point, almost actually killing the hatchery itself. But here comes another major attack. You said he has to move in and do some damage. That's exactly what he's going to attempt to do here. Now, those cannons have been cleaned up, the ones we talked about before, and he is just going to go ahead and sack this expansion. This is going to give viOLet a little bit of breathing room. He knows that the mining of this gas right here is no longer going to be in existence. He is now up an expansion, which is exactly what Zerg players want to have happen. In these long-winded games, you want to make sure to have one expansion more than your opponent. But at this point, he might also be able to delay this +3, and this may be it right here. Yeah, he's going to go for the side core. We got a lot of storms being dropped down in the back. He's got to keep
those Broodlords alive as well. More storms being thrown down on top of those roaches, and suddenly those roaches not looking as good as they could have. And oh, the flank forward, and we do have the Fungals going down. The roaches come back out of their burrow, and is it going to be enough? There's still a few more Fungals remaining, but this is going to be ridiculously close.
Wow, there's no other way to say that. Look at the supplies, they're almost identical, but the Blink Forward could snipe the Infestors, but the Fungal saves the Infestors. Man, DJ Wheat, if I had to watch two players play a best of 501, this would be the two people I would vote for, because this game is so close right now. The Zerg player able to almost remax out. He does have 23 roaches on the way, and look at this, Squirtle is forced to retreat for now. He held off the attack, but I don't know if he can actually kill his opponent quite yet. He's looking down here. Is there an expansion here? He's got to be happy to see no creep at that location. The Warp Prism has killed off the expansion in the top left side during this with just a handful of Zealots. This game, I feel like we just hit a big old reset button, and
yes.
It is going to continue forward.
Where is the Cybernetics core? It was actually taken down in that attack. I don't see a new one building anywhere.
Oh, I think you might be right.
I don't see one anywhere. I don't know what he's going to reinforce with, but if he actually comes in with this Stalker Infestor combination, that could actually end it. He does need some Overseers as well, and I don't see any inside the... Oh, we have the feedbacks going down. What is going on? No!
Vortex! No, he may have completely messed this up here. As you got to remember, with no Cyber Core, I'm going to keep an eye on the production tab. I literally think he cannot make Stalkers. He had a chance to get back in this, but he ran directly into the Vortex. This could be the big mistake that gets him eliminated from the tournament, and it looks like the Overseers want to join in to make sure they can spot, but keep an eye on the supplies. Can he actually do it? Near on side on the mothership. There's no energy though to use anything, and it does look like he's having cloaking no use. There's no observer there, DJ Wade. He can't actually see those units on the lookout. Does he kill the mothership? Does he wait for it to wear off? He decided to wait for it to wear off, and now an observer has indeed shown up. But at this point, what an extremely close battle. GG, well played out of viOLet. What an absolutely mind-blowing series here, and they're just shook hands in the booth. They're both smiling. They at least know, but he's not so, I guess from this angle, it looked like he was smiling. He's not happy about losing, of course, but what a crazy, amazing series.
Wow, that last battle, I'm not sure what happened, but unfortunately, no detection at all. I feel like viOLet had the army to actually clean up what was left. No more Stalkers were coming in. It was just Zealots at that point, and he walked forward. You could tell he didn't have any detection because the units are like, hey, I feel like there's maybe a bad presence here, man, but what's going on? Wait, why am I getting killed at all sides? And then the Neural at the end was remarkable, but he just didn't have enough to finally clean it up.
The Protoss didn't have detection, so the armies are like morphing in and out. And also, I wanted to talk about the scores again. On my screen, it is 183,000 versus 182,000. That game could not have been any closer, and the graphs as well. Apparently, I have an error on the graph screen, but the armies, again, were trading back and forth. We saw that viOLet able to just take it down to the wire. I know the series was 2-0, but those games were so close that a couple of units a different way in those battles could have easily favored viOLet there, so I know that he ended up losing that series. I got to hand it to him, though. What a crazy close series. Well,
I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hop up onto the stage and get an interview with Squirtle, and then after that, we'll be hopping into our next quarterfinal. So, need a break after that one. That was intense.
I got my tea right here. I definitely am going to need a break after that. What an epic series. So don't go anywhere, guys. For some reason, this stream has, I don't know how the other stream was yesterday, but we just have amazing series nonstop. I shouldn't even be surprised anymore because the matches are so great. So definitely don't go anywhere, guys. You can watch both streams. It does look like they're gearing up for their next match over there. I'm Husky.
And I'm DJ Wheat. Stick around. We got more coming at you from Red Bull Battlegrounds.